Occult Confessions is brought to you commercial-free through the generous support of our patrons. Visit occultconfessions.com and click on Donate to help keep the history of the occult on the digital airwaves.
Just a fair warning before we begin. This episode will contain topics that many might find disturbing or triggering. In 1971, Led Zeppelin released their fourth album, including arguably their most iconic song, Stairway to Heaven. While an innocent song, there are some who believe there are satanic subliminal messages when the record was played backwards. Hard rock and heavy metal are no strangers to controversy, especially during the satanic panic of the 80s when metal was at its cultural peak. The genre evolved into a web of different subgenres, some leaning more melodic, and others trying to be the fastest, heaviest, and most evil. Traditional heavy metal led to thrash metal, which led to death metal, and in turn, with help of noted band Venom, which is closer to thrash than the genre it coined the name of, created black metal, a subgenre noted for its dissonant, fast-paced riffs, blast beats, and almost shrieking vocals, with lyrics usually being focused on Satanism, along with the image of corpse paint. While I'm personally not a huge fan of a lot of these bands I'll be mentioning, mostly due to my own religious beliefs, I do find the culture behind it fascinating, and the stories of the members of the Black Circle of Oslo in the early 90s incredibly tragic. Welcome to Occult Confessions. Yeah, I guess that's the intro.
All right. Dr. C. Thompson. My name, Dr. Thompson. That is Mimms. That is Andrew Mimms, who is running the show today. Mimms.
Howdy, hi.
Let's talk a little bit about Mimms. Well, let's introduce the other people, but then I do want to do a little thing about Mimms. Lou Kinnaman is our producer at Discordia.
Hello.
A guy who was in a band with Mimms.
For a small amount of time. And then we went our separate ways.
Way back in the day.
Way back in the day.
And Mimms and I have...
hurt thinking about it.
Oh, wow, my bones. Mimms and I have taken relatively different musical paths since then.
And these guys are always bringing Savannah along with them. Although I should say I'm always bringing Savannah along with me. That's Savannah Barrett.
Hi. I know, I bet you're tired of hearing from me.
No, they've had a little break. We just had Jake and Nikki on the last one, so...
Savannah and Rob also once in a band together.
We are currently in a band together. Yeah. It's an ongoing project. So, Mimms, I don't know if you know this, but we have some listeners who are very curious about your title because it cannot be spoken.
Yeah, so I actually was recording earlier, and I managed to actually say it out loud. Unfortunately, the screams of the damned clipped the audio, and we are unable to use it.
It's always them damned.
If you are really, truly curious, and maybe this will just make it worse, if you go to our website, occultconfessions.com, and you click on the Actors tab, you will see Mimms there, and you will see the closest we give to a hint as to what his title is.
Do we really? No, I'm like, I want to go.
What?
I want to go. I want to see. I'm going.
Oh, you can go. Yeah, isn't there?
Feel free.
Yeah, we're not going to stop you.
we physically can't. Even if we wanted to, it's a moot point.
I want to say, too, before Mimms gets underway, these three here with me are some of the hardest working people on the podcast. Mimms is doing voice work for us all the time. Luke is the only person other than me who's editing episodes, and Savannah is doing her very own show, as I'm sure many of you know, that she is writing and editing with me. And it's these guys are just busting their butts to put out the content there for you, so... my love to you guys today. This is a nice chance to acknowledge your work.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
bud.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
get
fun.
it, Mimms.
It's an honor to be a part of it.
So
It is fun.
I'm glad we actually did. Oh, and we should say too, we actually made Patreon episodes today. It's sometimes it's hard to get even just a normal episode out for like the month or two, or like however many you release for Occult Confessions. So it felt good actually making Patreon content.
Something to look forward to.
We
Hop
still
on
want
that
to do
Patreon.
that argument series on Patreon? Because I'm still down to argue that The Empire Strikes Back is a
Oh
Christmas
my
movie.
god, I forgot about that. Yes. we still need to talk about Baldur's Gate. I need to edit that. I never did. I don't know what happened.
You guys are putting this out in public now. You're basically promising our audience that you're going to create this content.
That's why I didn't say anything. I don't want to throw myself under the bus.
That's why I'm saying it, because I need that pressure.
Give yourself
That's
accountability.
true. That helps.
There it is. You heard it here first, folks.
We're talking
All right.
about strain dried stuff. But yes.
We, the members of the secret order of alchemical actors, do solemnly commit ourselves to a full and honest telling of the history of the occult as far as we know it. Mimms, take it away.
The first wave of black metal first arose in the early 1980s with bands like Venom, Merciful Fate, and Bathory. Although really only the latter can be described as what the genre is today, they shared mostly an image and ideal rather than a sound. The ideal being trying to be the band televangelists warned pearl-clutching parents about, adorned with inverted crosses, pentagrams, goat heads, and other symbols representing the satanic. They began their sonic onslaught. Despite many of these artists being familiar with the writings of folks like Aleister Crowley and Anton LaVey, most of these acts were upfront about using this as shock value. A way to shock and awe, with notable exception being King Diamond, singer of Merciful Fate, known not only for his insane falsetto, but also his stage makeup and his microphone stand made with actual human bones,
All right,
who follows the LaVey brand of Satanism.
let's talk about this a little bit now, Mimms, before we get too far ahead of ourselves. So you're suggesting a couple of things here. Now, the classic metal, like real classic metal, like Zeppelin, had real Crowley influences. Ozzy Osbourne, right, famously wore the cross, right side up.
Yeah.
But these guys, you're saying, are using it as a brand? Like they're not really into it?
The early bands, yes. With
Jimmy Page,
huge exception of King Diamond, who is like a member. I don't know if he's a member of the Satanic Temple or.
So he's the only one who's actually into Satanism.
He's a real hoot, though.
Yeah, of the like original group of black metal in the 80s.
But you said Anton LaVey's version of Satanism, right?
Yeah,
So
which
it's
isn't
like
very
the
occulty.
self-power thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But utilizing the image and again scaring all of the moms.
It worked.
Oh yeah.
But they're not as metal as Zeppelin in that way because they're not really trying to perform magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gradually, the extreme got heavier and heavier. Death metal eventually arose with the formation of bands like Possessed and Death. A group of young men in Norway were the ones to take things a step further. Two acts in particular are of note for this story. One being notorious one-man band Burzum, formed by Varg, quote-unquote, Count Grishnak Vikernes, and arguably the champion of Norwegian black metal, Mayhem, and their guitarist Øystein. I'm gonna butcher these names.
That's what we do.
Name.
That's what we do here.
So I'm using their pseudonyms throughout most of the episode. Øystein Euronymous Arseth. Mayhem was founded in the mid-'80s, releasing a fairly successful EP, Death Crush, in 1988, which drew the attention of Pelle Olin, aka Dead, who upon finding out Mayhem was looking for a new vocalist, left his family behind in Sweden to move to Oslo to join the band, after sending a demo tape along with a crucified mouse. The lineup of Dead on vocals, Euronymous on guitar, Necro Butcher on bass, and Hellhammer on drums went on to perform some of the most notorious live shows. Some notable part of their act include the pig heads on pikes they would put at the front of the stage, which they would buy from a local butcher for apparently fairly cheap.
Oh, good.
That's really gross.
They're economical.
Oh yeah, there's like legends of like one of them getting thrown into the audience and somebody taking a bite.
Oh my god,
So
that's disgusting.
It's nasty.
This is
Like
really
pig
to
cheek
offend.
is really like tender and good though. Like when it's cooked, not when it's been sitting on a pike.
I feel like they're not coming after the Christian right here so much as vegetarians.
Oh, that too.
Well, these were locally sourced, humanely killed pigs.
I don't
Also,
care.
do you think that it would smell? Like, is there blood dripping off their
awful.
heads? Like,
So they was bought from a butcher.
okay,
So
so
I would
no
assume
blood?
that like the blood had been drained out.
Yeah, so you'd imagine relatively processed. Like, it's not like...
But don't worry. There was blood on stage because Dead was known to cut his own wrists
Oh my god.
while performing,
Jesus Christ.
as well as burying his stage clothes for a couple days and then digging them up before the show.
The
would-
self-mutilation is very, like, Sid Vicious-esque.
Yeah.
He would bury
he would
his
also-
clothes?
Yeah. So it would get like,
So he looked
that
like he
kind of, like,
just crawled
scent
out
of
of a
dirt.
grave.
yeah.
That's kind of cool. I kind of like
and
that.
he was known for, at one point, keeping a dead crow in a bag and sniffing it before
Oh my god.
going on stage to perform with, and I quote, the stench of death in his nostrils.
Oh my god. What is
So-
wrong with these people?
They're not like practicing any kind of ceremonial magic, and yet they've created all these bizarre rituals unto themselves.
Yeah. It is it is insane. Like the lyrics have various degrees of less Satanism, more anti-Christianity. Mm-hmm. And that's something I'll get into a little bit later.
Not what they're for, but what they're against.
Yes.
So it's a lot of one-upping everyone else.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is a lot of one-upping. To put it lightly, Dead was a disturbed individual. A fact that intrigued Euronymous
Just like
a whole lot.
picturing him sniffing a dead crow and you saying that, I think he was a disturbed individual.
just a little bit. He might have needed therapy.
Yeah, it's
big
not even
mite.
like that changes the performance. Like, you can't see that he sniffed a dead crow. He looks like he sniffed a crow before he came out here. Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, no, he just huffed a crow
For
and
himself.
went out on stage.
Yeah.
Why does this feel like something like Charlie Kelly would do? in Always
Oh,
Sunny in
absolutely.
Philadelphia?
If it was Always Sunny in Oslo in the early 90s,
Charlie
100%.
and Mac made a metal band.
That needs to be an episode.
It wouldn't be always sunny in Oslo. It's always raining in Oslo.
It's always depressing in Oslo.
Nightmare.
It's always fucking cold in Oslo. But Dead's disturbing, depressing behavior was something that Euronymous was drawn to, thinking that it was kind of fitting the image that he wanted to put out there.
I mean, it definitely makes a statement.
Oh, without a doubt. This is an unsigned band in 1990 doing things that are still talked about to this day. Unfortunately, this lineup was cut short. On April 8th, 1991, Dead took his own life by cutting his wrists and neck, and after not dying quick enough, shooting himself in the head with Euronymous' shotgun.
Off stage.
Yes, off stage. This was in the house that they were living at together. Euronymous, Dead, and Hellhammer were all living in the same house. Euronymous and Hellhammer were out. And when Euronymous returned, he found all of the doors locked, and he did not have a key. So he climbed through the only window that was unlocked, which was Dead's bedroom window. He climbed through the window to find his body.
That is really sad. This guy obviously really needed some help.
Yeah, he needed some help, and it was very obvious to anyone who watched him perform, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, but to especially Euronymous, which was, I don't want to say his best friend because he encouraged the antics. One of the people closest to him, he wasn't going to tell him to get help.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Sid Vicious thing. I don't know. Maybe, like, the precedent, like you're saying, Luke, makes it seem like, it's just a musician being weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially from an audience perspective, they may see it and like, oh no, this is just an act.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, even talking themselves out of it. Like, he's not actually cutting himself and things of that nature.
So if you were in this position and you saw your friend and bandmate had just committed suicide, what do you think the logical thing to do would be? If your answer was to go back out, buy a disposable camera, set things up, and take a photo shoot, you would be Euronymous.
He left the house to buy a disposable camera and took pictures of that?
Yes.
Well, they
Oh my
didn't have
God.
cell phones, Savannah.
Oh, fair enough.
Jeez, Savannah.
You're so right. It's not like the police would have brought, a camera to take picture of the...
Yeah, but he wasn't taking it for the sake of evidence.
Yeah.
He was taking it for his own enjoyment.
Ooh.
He also took fragments of his skull
Oh my God.
and kept them and would distribute them to, later distribute them to people in the scene that he deemed worthy.
What? And this is all real? This all actually
This is
happened?
all real.
Did they
All
have
actually happened.
Did they have like a sadist masochist relationship where Death was a masochist and Hieronymus was a sadist?
Euronymous is definitely, if not a sadist, a psychopath. Or a sociopath.
Yeah.
But one of these photographs went on to be used as the album cover
I was going to ask about it.
bootleg Dawn of the Black Hearts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So does that mean you can still find this picture?
Yes.
You can find the picture. Yes.
Yeah, you can find this picture if you go on Google. And it's incredibly easy to see. It's really fucked up.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't realize how scary this topic was going to be. I thought we were going to be talking about music.
Oh, the music is one of the least important things about the Norwegian black metal scene.
Savannah's waiting for Rogers and/or Hammerstein to bang out a tune for us here. Come on, Mimms.
No, I don't like them either.
Where are Candor and Ebb when you need them? Come on now.
Hold on, I got you. Satan!
Man, I was hoping for some King Diamond falsetto there.
Nice little ditty.
There you go.
There we go.
I have a sleeping toddler in the other room. Otherwise,
Wake
I'll
up.
give you some lines from Abigail.
Wake up.
Whenever I record a Call Confessions video or podcast, I have no idea what I'm getting into, and I at least thought I had an idea what I was getting into, but
Nah, this is some fucked up shit.
is.
So, Dead's suicide note was blunt, stating, "Excuse all the blood," and then explaining why he took his own life, which I'm not going to read in its entirety here. I feel like that is in poor taste. But it was something he would been planning on doing, and he was a deeply mentally ill individual that needed help, and his friends failed him. Euronymous, however, sought to capitalize on this death, saying to Necrobutcher, and I quote, translated quote, "Dead has done something very cool. He killed himself." This event caused Necrobutcher to leave the band, leaving the spot of bassist open, which was soon filled by Burzum founder Varg. Varg met Euronymous, and Burzum signed to Euronymous' record label, Deathlike Silence Productions, which released a lot of the notable albums of the genre, which at this point was congregating around a record store Euronymous opened called Helvete, or Helvete. It's the Finnish word for hell, which became a kind of headquarters for not only Mayhem, but for the entire Norwegian black metal scene, including the likes of Emperor, Immortal, Dark Throne, and more. The shop was very much oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I just don't. I don't know anything about music in general, especially not black metal. So the Norwegian black metal scene is like a huge thing. Like it's like a huge scene.
It definitely had a lot of bands, a lot of people listening to it. But it's not like, I mean, was it like, I don't know how to phrase this question. Is it like black metal bands in America? Like, did they have an equivalent to this, or was it like black metal bands in America were also going to Norwegian, whatever? Jesus, there's definitely fans of those bands here in the U.S. But like a lot of times, especially in like the 80s and 90s, you will see a lot of bands with similar sounds popping up in similar areas. Like Los Angeles definitely had like the glam metal thing. The Bay Area had a lot of thrash. Florida had a shit ton of death metal.
Okay.
Sweden's known for their melodic death metal, and that's definitely my kind of shit.
That's interesting.
And it's just like, I don't know exactly how, but it's you get a lot of people in these bands are friends, and people like a lot of the same kind of things, and it kind of develops a scene like that.
I gotcha. I just was wondering if this was sort of like the home base for all black metal in the world, but it wasn't.
No.
Okay.
Like people would come from like Scandinavia to like kind of congregate.
It might be easier to say that this is like a subset of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Or like a subgenre in a way.
Yeah, Norwegian black metal is kind of become its own thing in a way. Because there's still like a ton of black metal bands out there of varying qualities and listenability.
Is it the most the hardcore stuff you're talking about, though? I don't even want to use the word hardcore. The bizarre, mentally ill stuff. That's specifically this scene, though.
Yes, okay. This is the most notorious. The record store was very much a fraternity of sorts, the kind of place a group of young men will shoot the shit and develop friendships and rivalries, and many of them sought to one-up each other and who was more evil or dedicated to the cause. Real quick, what time is it?
8:45.
Wrong, motherfucker. It's crime time.
Oh.
I'd like to change my answer.
I knew that it was crime time, but I didn't want to say anything.
Thank you, Rob. Church arson is probably what the Norwegian black metal scene was most known for, perhaps even more so than the music. I would argue definitely more known. You can probably name more church burnings than you can black metal albums. The first successful burning, supposedly tied to the members of the Black Circle, was June 6th, 1992 in Bergen. Varg was eventually found guilty of the arson in 94, but not before using a picture of the church's remains as the cover for his EP, Ask, or Ashes in English. The Fantoft Stave Church was built around 1150. More of these acts continued throughout the early 90s, with Varg taking credit for a number of them, though a number of the Black Circle were involved. It's widely accepted that this was an extremist retaliation to Christianity in Norway, which a lot of the surviving members of the scene have mixed feelings about, such as members of Gorgoroth say that it should have been more churches that burned, while others think that it was people trying too hard to fit in rather than doing any real change. So, there was a lot of these church burnings.
It wasn't just one guy.
No, it was a lot of people in the scene.
But he burned several churches himself.
Yes, Varg did a lot of them.
And that's crazy that some dude was like, there should have been more. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. It was a quote from one of the members of Gorgoroth. And they are, like, one of the ones that's still all about Satan to this day.
It's the destructive nature of it, I guess, right, Savannah, that you find offensive?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, because, like, I don't really follow religion, but I wouldn't go burning down people's belongings in churches. Like, that's a sacred place to people. I think that's...
the age of them is a shame. I mean, it's just a shame to lose these medieval buildings. But I like to do, devil's advocate, no pun intended. That's commitment for an album cover, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would say that.
I mean, he's not hiding it. He's making a statement. He's owning it. It is an illegal act of vandalism and a destruction of a lot of history and a violation, of people's religious feelings. But yeah, boy, it's wow.
I mean, it is commitment to the bit.
Not even a bit point, right? It's a political statement.
Yeah.
It's a kind of activism.
Yeah.
And that's definitely how they feel, is that they are activists in a way.
Yeah, I don't know how it's at all successful in an activist sense, but a lot of activism isn't, right? Like, we can debate the degree to which Harvard protesting Gaza is going to make an actual difference. But it's activism. People are trying to make their point. I don't know. It's not the same as burning down a church, sorry. I don't mean to equate that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, if you believe that hard... I mean, you gotta understand, like, my job professionally is to try to see through other people's eyes, their belief systems, and understand how they believe the way they do. So in that sense, if you really feel that Christianity is bringing down, I don't know, Western civilization or something, then that... there's the morality of it for you. But the pluralism of this show, we don't advocate for that kind of thing.
No.
No.
No. Don't burn any churches, everybody. That's a bad.
Or any other buildings, for that matter. Don't burn any buildings. They're your buildings, and nobody's in those buildings, and you're not trying to commit insurance fraud. You just want to burn a building. But also be sure that the fire doesn't spread to surrounding trees.
Fire's just not a good idea.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad time.
Except for cooking, maybe.
And even then, that's controlled.
It depends on who's cooking.
Yeah.
Touché.
But also, killing people is bad.
Oh.
I've heard that.
Lesser known, but still no less heinous, was the murder of, I believe it's pronounced Magne Andresen, a gay man, the night of August 21st, 1992, by Faust of Emperor. I am not going to try to pronounce his real name. The guy goes by Faust. Allegedly, Faust was propositioned by Andresen for sex, which was met by Faust leading him into the woods and stabbing him 37 times.
Oh my god.
His bandmates claimed that he had an obsession with serial killers and wanted to know what it was like to take a life. While he himself claims that this wasn't a satanic, homophobic, or fascist act, but it was rather an act of aggression. He wasn't caught until a year later, or so, despite bragging about bragging about the killing to other members of the circle, and the next night he burnt a church with Varg and Euronymous.
Why are they doing this? Just because to make a statement against Christianity?
The murder was just because he felt like it.
Yeah, I guess I meant like the church burnings and stuff and them and their shitty attitudes.
So that's the actual beliefs of folks in the scene varies.
Okay.
Some are theological Satanists, some are the modern LaVey sort of Satanists. some are atheists, and most notably Varg was an Odinist.
What does that mean? Odinist?
A follower of Odin.
Of the All-Father.
Oh.
You're like Brie, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, it didn't click. I'd never heard them called that before.
Scandinavian paganism.
There's another name for it, but I can't pronounce it, or I don't know how to pronounce it.
Well,
So
I
just
probably
put
wouldn't
Odinist.
recognize that one either. So.
Yeah. But in a lot of interviews, Varg loved giving interviews. So you're getting a lot from him. He hated Christianity due to how it erased a lot of Norway's pre-Christian culture. Which would be an understandable reason if he wasn't also an actual fucking neo-Nazi. Because of this, there are some connections between fascism and black metal. Something that all sensible fans reject wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Because I was thinking too, is like, I feel like a lot of this kind of shitty behavior comes back to also just wanting attention.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
This is a bunch of attention whores who have, honestly, probably a lot of undiagnosed mental illnesses.
So I'm trying to think through the logic of the neo-Nazi and the church burnings and the Odinism. Is the idea that Norway used to have this pure masculine Viking culture, and then the Christians came in and feminized everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
Yes.
sense. It's not good, but it makes sense.
That is a huge thing for Varg, especially. He would, in one of the books I read for this that interviewed him, he went on a lot of rants, a lot of really, really shitty rants. Just down-talking pretty much everybody who was not a white Scandinavian guy.
So then there's the racial component. Yeah, that the Viking was the
Oh, yeah.
pure master race. Yeah,
Yes. Both Varg and Euronymous craved attention, both within the circle and the media attention from the world at large. Varg was, in particular, anonymously contacted a newspaper under his pseudonym Count Grishnak, claiming to be responsible for the church burnings and the aforementioned murder, and claimed that they were all Satanists looking to spread evil. The newspaper sent a reporter to conduct an interview, set up by Varg and Euronymous as a way to promote the record shop and the scene as a whole, trying their best to scare the reporter. This resulted, allegedly, in Varg being arrested, and under pressure from Euronymous' family, the record shop closed. Varg was none too happy about either result, stating that the prison, and I quote, was much too nice. It's much too nice here. It's not hell at all. In this country, prisoners get a bed, toilet, and shower. It's completely ridiculous. I asked the police to throw me in a real dungeon, and also encouraged them to use violence.
This guy's a nut.
And then had many choice words about Euronymous. It seems this ultimately led to the schism that only worsened as the months went on.
Wait, so Euronymous, he did end up closing the record store?
Yes. So he closed the shop because he was getting a lot of bad press about it. Mm-hmm. Because his douchebag of a bass player was saying, "Hey, look at all this evil shit that we're doing, and we're all based out of this one shop."
Isn't that what they wanted people to think, though?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
But Euronymous' family didn't like that, and Euronymous was allegedly a pushover.
That's
Granted,
baffling.
granted, a lot of this was coming from Varg himself.
Oh.
I mean, they're all very strong personalities, but he's the psychopath who's passing up pieces of a man's skull, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a pushover?
Apparently, allegedly.
Come on. All right.
It's all an act.
Yeah,
All this tough guy bullshit.
It's all tough guy bullshit.
I guess, but I mean, when I'm confronted with the corpse, I don't know that I'd just start picking at the, remains on the wall. That takes a certain
That's
kind of
fair.
person, you know?
It does.
It seems to me this all feels like 8chan, like Frederick Brennan says, I'm going to create a message board where anybody can say anything they want. So it's the people who want to say the things they can't say anywhere else that flock to this place. Like if you tell everyone, this is who we are, this is where you could do the evilest, worst shit, you're naturally going to create a group of people who just want to do shit that, if they're hanging out with goths, they're going to get scolded for.
Yeah, it's Varg had a lot of choice words about Euronymous, most of which I wouldn't think of repeating.
That's interesting that Euronymous even cared about what his family had to say at all.
Well, his family was fronting the bill.
Oh my god.
That changes things quite a bit.
So they were like, yeah,
what's
what
wrong
the hell?
with them?
We're
It's
just
like
so proud of our boy.
Daddy's money, burning down churches and shit. Like, this is, these assholes act like they're so metal and then have, like, their mommy and daddy paying for their record shop where they do their evil things.
Yeah, where they have, like, a dungeon in the basement, allegedly. And
Tiny Tim's mom got it weird when he started putting white face paint on and singing into falsetto.
And,
where are these parents?
not caring about their sons putting on white face paint.
And passing out skull parts.
Yeah, exactly. The skull part, it has been confirmed, and part of this, like, one of the skull necklaces, I think, went up for sale on, like, for auction.
Oh my god.
And
Whoa.
it got, like, I think, I want to say a couple $10,000.
That's insane.
The ending of this story is shrouded in mystery. Only 2 people know the whole story. Unfortunately, one is dead, and the other is a notorious murderer and Nazi known to embellish his stories, to say the least. Varg had left Mayhem and was looking to leave Death Like Silence Productions, and Euronymous was none too happy with Varg either, allegedly saying he wants to use an electroshock weapon on him and make a snuff film as he tortured him to death.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Now, given the person Euronymous was, most people would think that he's just talking out his ass, being pissed off at a former friend. However, Varg heard about this, and he, along with Blackthorn, who was recently brought on as Mayhem's second guitarist, drove from Bergen to Oslo, which is a good day's drive, with a contract to release Burzum from the record contract. Varg claimed what happened next was in self-defense, but given he stabbed Euronymous 23 times, 16 of those being in the back, 2 to the head, and 5 wounds in the neck, one could assume that it was premeditated.
I mean, yeah.
What is the obsession with knives? That seems very intentional. Is it because it's more violent?
Is it that,
I
or
think
is it?
so.
It's
Like,
more
that's,
personal.
That's my guess. It could be ritualistic.
Oh, ritualistic and personal.
And it's assumed that Varg was genuinely trying to get away with this murder, as he allegedly. All of this is alleged, by the way. Everything involving his death. If I don't say allegedly, assume that this is all alleged.
So nobody was convicted then?
No. He was convicted.
Oh.
But the details.
I see.
Nobody
Okay.
really knows the details.
So we know that he did the killing, but we don't know how it happened.
Yeah. So he had a buddy of his rent a movie, like rent a videotape under his name, so they would have an alibi. But that dude gave him up.
Really? Over such a strong alibi, like renting a videotape?
Yep. Varg was sentenced to 21 years in prison for the murder and church burnings, which is
Only
apparently
21
Norway's
years?
maximum prison sentence.
Oh.
Only 21 years.
That's the maximum. Okay.
Norway believes in rehabilitation very strongly, to the point that, as I understand it, if you commit a mass shooting in Norway, they still expect to rehabilitate you and put you back in society in 21 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's hard for us to understand over here.
Mm-hmm.
We're very eye for an eye in America.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way Norway thinks. I think even some other Scandinavian countries, I love Scandinavian movies, and I read into some of them some questioning of this system. This is like a perfect socialist ideology that everyone can be reformed and anyone can be rehabilitated and brought back into society. Everyone's a functional member of society. But it takes it, like, this is as far as socialism, I think, can go in that way. And these guys are very anti-socialist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's ironic.
Blackthorn was convicted for 6 years for assisting, essentially being the driver, even though he allegedly stood outside and was just smoking a cigarette while the murder happened.
An accomplice is an accomplice. Yeah. I mean...
Faust was sentenced to 14 for his murder and the church burnings that he was convicted of. And not involved, not even in the 90s, but Gall, the vocalist of aforementioned Gorgoroth, was arrested for torture and aggravated assault in the early 2000s. But that's neither here nor there. That's just an interesting fact of somebody in the scene went on to committing more heinous acts. Both Mayhem and Burzum still exist to this day, as does black metal as a music genre, though most of the violent and destructive antics have died down. Mayhem released their first full-length album, I'm gonna fuck up this pronunciation, De Mysterious Dum Sathanis, which featured both Varg and Euronymous, much to the dismay of the former's family, or the latter's family. Necker Butcher rejoined the band, and Hellhammer remains in the band to this day. Hellhammer, in a surprising twist, was a session drummer on Christian black metal, also known as white metal or unblack metal to avoid the satanic association, band Antester's album, The Forsaken, and their preceding EP. He allegedly took the gig as a fuck you to the extremity of the scene's past, stating, quote-unquote, Mayhem's music is still dark, but I wouldn't say that it's satanic, and that Satanism isn't what Mayhem is about today. Burzum still remains a one-man band. Varg was allowed a synthesizer while in prison and released 2 Burzum albums from behind bars. Due to the limitations, those were less metal albums and more dungeon synth, which, if you don't know what dungeon synth is, it's best described as music sounding like it's from a 90s RPG.
It's a really fun genre. Oh. There's a really cool cassette resurgence for dungeon synth.
I love dungeon
What
synth.
does that mean? That people are passing out cassettes of this dungeon music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And they have tape players.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to listen to this. You guys are so cavalier about this.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love it.
Like everyone's just sitting with their tape deck listening to the level 3.
Well, it's great, like, ambience music, too, especially for, like, tabletop games with friends.
Yeah, it's great for, like, D&D and stuff.
Yeah, I understand that. I think I could probably sit and listen to some dungeon synth. So wait, one of these guys is producing dungeon synth from jail?
He was. Varg was released in 2009.
Okay.
Allegedly from good behavior, despite a failed escape attempt.
Well, if he had succeeded, it wouldn't be good behavior.
I do think they're a little too lenient, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Like he was out, and the police just found him.
And they were like, come on now.
Yeah, and he was just like, well, sorry, guys.
Go back to your room and think about what you did.
Go back and make more dungeon synth.
He still releases music from time to time under Burzum, with apparently an album slated to release this year, which will in no way be nearly as cool and good as BattleQuest's power metal masterpiece, The Citadel. out July 25th.
Which you can pre-order now on Bandcamp.
Which you can pre-order now on Bandcamp.
Yes, indeed. And you can hear a bit of right here on this episode.
Yes, I will probably put some at the end, I guess.
So if you like what you hear, what's that name again, Mimms?
Battle Quest.
I love it. I love it.
I'm so excited to listen to it.
If you haven't checked out the single yet, please do. It's a lot of fun.
That's my project.
Its own project.
I'm really proud of it.
So
Varg also released a tabletop RPG.
Oh no.
Called My Frog or My Farog, which guess what? It's incredibly racist.
Oh.
Keep in mind, Varg is a fucking Nazi before we're supporting any of his projects.
he still is.
Yes.
Was anything reformed? The only thing they reformed out of him was the desire not to make dungeon synth.
Oh no, he not the one coming out this year, but the previous album that released in I think 2020 was a dungeon synth album.
So he's still doing that.
So he goes between like the synth stuff and black metal.
So it didn't really mellow him out.
Yeah.
It's kind of silly too that like these guys who are like they're like we're so hard, we're so metal, like we're doing all this terrible stuff. They're doing it in a place where there isn't these super bad consequences to it. So I feel like in a way it makes it a little bit less metal, because you could do it in America and then get the death sentence, but they're doing it in a place where their max sentencing is 21 years. So I don't know, it feels kind of goofy to me.
Texas would be more badass.
Yeah,
because then like you're doing this terrible shit and you're like, and there's going to be terrible consequences for it, but that in a way is almost metal about doing the metal shit too. It's like I'm doing it no matter what the fucking consequences are, where these people are like, I'm doing it, but I'm only going to get 21 years and I'm going to walk out of jail, but they're still going to let me out early. Like, I don't know.
That's Savannah coming after the Norwegian Penal Code, everyone.
Well, maybe I'm kind of just trying to mock these assholes, honestly.
I know, but you make a valid point about the Norwegian Penal Code. It's maybe it's not enough to dissuade people because they do brag about it, right, Mimms? Like, not trying to get away with it.
Varg has no remorse.
Now, there are people who are not doing this in this scene. Are there any just satanic citizens enjoying their metal and then quietly going home and crocheting or something?
Tons. Yeah, there's tons. It's. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of black metal fans.
Okay.
Not a lot, but a good chunk of black metal. Not a good chunk. I am friends with some black metal fans.
And it's not the fans, it's the musicians themselves who are doing the crimes.
Yes, and nowadays, I mean, there's been a couple church burnings as a thing that they try to do to pay homage to them, but most of the people now just think it's dumb bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be fair, it's kind of dumb bullshit.
Did the churches if I owned a church in Norway at this time, I would have taken some precautionary measures. Did that happen? Do you know if that happened? They've got dogs or something? Were they? What?
I don't.
It's really hard to insure a church during this time period.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The rates went through the roof. Yeah, what would you do? I'm trying to think what I would do in 1992 to keep my church, because you don't have your little Ring cameras or anything.
Not that would stop your building from burning, but...
No, because they don't care. You could put up a surveillance camera, but that's not going to stop them because they don't care if anybody knows they did it. They don't care if they get caught.
I like picturing 1992. It's Norway. It's Rob. You're 8 years old, 92?
Sure, yeah, let's go with 8.
Right? I think I'm close.
Sure. Go ahead. And I'm protecting a church?
Yeah, you're protecting a church. No, 92, you'd be... Never mind, I'm not going to do the math in my head. You're protecting a church, but instead of wearing, like, corpse paint, you know, you're wearing, like, Tiny Tim makeup.
I'm wielding a ukulele like a club.
Yeah, exactly what's happening.
Tiptoe through these tulips, you motherfuckers.
I think they'd be afraid of you. You know? I think these guys are pussies.
Don't say your address.
No.
But, well, it's the 90s there.
It's okay. She doesn't live in a church.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Now, something fun that I want to do is I want to read off Varg's categories on his Wikipedia page.
Okay.
1973 births. Living people. 1993 crimes in Norway. 20th century Norwegian criminals. Adherents of Germanic neo-paganism. Attacks on churches in Europe. Destruction of religious buildings and structures. Black metal controversies. Black metal guitarist. Norwegian critics of Christianity. Norwegian critics of Islam. Male critics of feminism. Mayhem members. Musicians from Bergen. Modern pagan writers. Norwegian activists. Norwegian anti-capitalists. Norwegian arsonist. Norwegian black metal musicians. Norwegian male bloggers. Norwegian immigrants to France. Norwegian environmentalists. Norwegian hunters. Norwegian male criminals. 21st century Norwegian multi-instrumentalists. Norwegian nationalists. Norwegian modern pagans. Norwegian non-fiction writers. Norwegian neo-Nazis convicted of murder. Norwegian YouTubers. Obscenity controversies in music. Old funeral members. Outsider musicians. People convicted of arson. People convicted of murder by Norway. People convicted of racial hatred offenses. Criminals from Bergen. People on the autism spectrum. People from Bo Telemark. Performers of modern pagan music. Prisoners and detainees of France. Role-playing game designers. Simple living activists. Survivalists. Controversies in Norway, and Norwegian conspiracy theorists.
Wow.
Holy shit.
If you redact like a good 85% of those, it just seems like he could be an okay guy.
Yeah, like if he wasn't a piece of shit.
If he was just a prisoner of France, that'd be all right.
Yeah, if he was just a prisoner of France.
Oh, wow. So are they nihilists, Mimms? Would you call them nihilists? I mean, when I'm listening to the list, anti-capitalism, anti-socialism, anti-Christianity, anti-Islam, nihilism.
Yeah. Nihilism is a lot of what the scene has kind of turned to, rather than Satanism at this point.
Yeah, that whole murder just as an act of aggression feels like existentialism brought to nihilism. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of this, like, I know it's cults that aren't cults, like, so would Verg have been considered, like, the cult leader of this not cult?
Varg and or Euronymous, I would consider, because Euronymous was definitely kind of the head honcho for a good portion of it, and then Varg wanted to take that.
So that was the motive.
Yes.
I was sort of curious. I don't think you talked about why he did it. It was for power.
Yes. I believe so. Anyway.
The guy didn't just get on his nerves.
I mean, he definitely got on his nerves, but it was definitely a struggle for who is top dog in this shit.
Right. I mean, because it sounds like the murder officially, like, happened when Euronymous was like, I'm going to kill Verg, and that guy was like, no, I'll kill you first, is what it kind of sounds like.
Yeah, more or less. And whether or not Euronymous was bullshitting, I personally think he was bullshitting, and I think Varg also thought he was bullshitting, but it gave him that excuse to, okay, well, I'm a go stab him 23 times. Because you don't stab somebody 23 times in the back in self-defense.
Oh, no. No. He claimed that.
Yes.
Ooh.
He claimed that the murder was self-defense.
I mean, that sounds, back to Savannah's point, like you just say guilty, right? You just plead guilty. I did it. I'm aggressive
That's
and
the more badass thing to do.
Right.
Yeah, no, he claimed self-defense throughout the entire trial.
That sounds like it's just coming from a place of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a... They're both Varg and Euronymous are shitty people.
How successful were they at getting, back to the cult question, getting people to do as they did?
Within like the black metal circle, fairly successful. I mean, Varg convinced a guy's bandmate to drive with him to go kill this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And to burn down a bunch of churches with him and stuff.
Yeah, and to burn down a bunch of churches. Like, you don't do that on a whim.
But it's a small cult. It's like a handful of guys.
Yeah, it's a couple dozen.
Yeah, they're like the Reservoir Dogs or the Fight Club or something. Like, there's not...
Yeah, it's... And it very much is two charismatic individuals vying for power over this group of incredibly dedicated people.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, the day that Varg was convicted, I think 2 church burnings were attempted. I don't know how successful they were.
Oh, so there were some unsuccessful ones.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of unsuccessful.
There's all those 8-year-olds running around with their ukuleles.
Defending them.
Yes.
Get off my lawn.
But you think that was a reaction to Varg's like guilty sentence? What were people trying to be like, oh, well, fuck you for making him guilty or whatever?
Yeah,
okay.
More or less.
Interesting.
And his attempted breakout was allegedly started by just 2 fans.
It's interesting. But it was a successful breakout.
Yeah, it was a successful breakout. He just didn't stay out.
Yeah, it was successful until it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's just he didn't stay out.
Yeah.
It's
Why would you? They don't even beat you up in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't torture you in jail. What's the point in staying?
They give me a bed and a toilet. What the fuck?
Feed me all day.
And a synthesizer?
Yikes.
And a synthesizer.
All right. Any more thoughts?
Don't be a fucking Nazi.
Good advice.
Yeah, fuck Nazis.
I hereby adjourn and declare closed this meeting of the Secret Order of Alchemical Actors until such a time as we get together and do it again. I want to thank Andrew Mimms for this enlightening exploration of a truly dark corner.
Thank you for allowing me to do this. Like, genuinely, I appreciate this. This was a lot of fun doing the research and making the script and everything.
I'm glad to hear it. It's
Thank
a
you.
terrifying story, Mimms, but it
really is.
certainly interesting. Yeah, fascinating corner of the world. I don't think we should turn our eyes from these kinds of people. I think that's bad for humanity to not take a good hard look at what we can get up to.
Granted, if I do another episode, it's going to be lighter heart.
Well, I am interested in talking about the occultism in My Little Pony, Mimms, so...
That's Strange Ride, though.
Oh, that's true, yeah. That's Savannah Verrett and Luke Kinnaman joining us today.
Bye.
Gang.
Bye-bye.
Bye!
My name's Rob C. Thompson. We'll catch you next time for more cults that aren't cults, but we are winding up. We've only got another one of those episodes left here on Occult Confessions.
topaz, unfurl and take flight. The sapphire from the twilight and the ruby from beyond all collide like bitter hatred. Great destruction will run. Crystal dragons will fly past the sky to the city towns remains and humanity will die. Like lost children we fight through the storm. We will pray for tomorrow to arrive. Draconic beasts from the end. Your chance of survival, my friend. Like weapons and store and supplies run thin. And when the sky awakens like a dream straight out at night, wings of emerald and topaz unfurl and take flight. The sapphire from the twilight and the ruby from